Hello, I welcome all for the business management classes. This is Dr. Niranjan Babu HS, working as an assistant professor at Maharani's Women's Commerce and Management College, Mysore. We are making a discussion over the subject business management. This subject is prescribed for first semester BCom course for the University of Mysore. This business management is a very interesting subject and one of the most dynamic subject. This knowledge of this subject will give a kind of a confidence in the minds of the students to understand the various concepts in the business. When we look at what is there in the syllabus in the first unit of business management, which is prescribed by the University of Mysore, here is the contents of the unit number 1. It starts with the concepts of management. What are the important definitions of management? What are the major characteristics of management? What makes the difference between management and administration? Is there one and the same, or is there any differences or that? And at the end, the functions of management. We will be discussing in this series of sessions. In this first unit, we shall see what we will be discussing. In this session, we will be discussing specifically about an introduction to the subject business management, and also the concepts of management, the definitions of management, and the characteristics of management. When we say management is a very popular term which will be used daily by all of us. We'll be using to manage the business, manage the class, manage your work, manage your homework, manage your studies, manage your activities. Like that, we'll be using this term, the term management. This management is highly been essential for all kinds of organizations. When we say organizations are nothing but the institutions. It may be social institutions or it may be the business institutions. For both, the management is required. So thereby, management is highly been essential for all the organizations, like whether it is a private or it is for the government or for a social or for a cultural or for a game or for the joint stock companies, or you take any kinds of the human activities. What is required is the term management and the meaning of management. You need to manage the each and every human activities. Thereby, this management concept is very much popular and is being applied especially in the business firms or the joint stock companies. In any business, without management or in the absence of management, it is not possible to get the success. If you want to get the success in the business, you need to manage well. Whether it is a small company or whether it is a big company, for both the companies, management is required. So this is not the criteria. If you are running an institution, if you are running a business, you need the concept of management which you need to apply. You need to apply the principles of management in a proper way so that you will get the success. What do you mean by success in a business? That means success is measured in terms of profit. How much profit a company is earning, what is the volume of trading it has been doing, or how many number of branches a company is having. So likewise, success is measured in different dimensions or different criteria. For all things, such things, what is required is the management. If there is a proper management, if there is a good management, certainly you will get the success in the business organization. And usually a question arises in the minds of the students: whose work is called as management. When we say management, management is the work of the managers. Whatever the manager does in a business organization or in any social organization, it is called as management. So, thereby, manager is a person, one who assumes or one who performs his duties in any organization or in any institution. He performs in such a way that he, with a full responsibility, he makes the administration of the organization. He looks into the affairs of the organization. What is happening, what is supposed to happen, how it is to be done, what it is to be done, what to do and what not to do. All these things will be done by a manager, and thereby whatever manager does is called management. He is the decision maker. He is the sole decision maker in the business. So, in this session, we will be discussing this highly interesting topic, the concepts of management, definitions, and the characteristics of management. We shall go to the next slide. The concepts of management. To begin with, it says management can be defined as how it is possible to understand. What do you mean by management is, it is the process of administration and the controlling of the affairs of the organization. Just now I told you that when we say management, it is a process of administration. Administration is to see that what should be going right and what is supposed to go right and what is being wrong, to identify that, take a corrective measure, and to see that it will yield, all the business activities will yield the good results. So that is called management. It is a process of administration and also controlling the affairs of the organization. What do you mean by controlling? First you will plan any activity. Once you plan, you would like to see that such plans will be implemented as such, in the manner in which they are being framed in the planning process. That is management. And at the same time, the planning and controlling, they should go together. When you plan something, you must ensure yourself that the things are going in a right way. For that, you need to control the affairs of the organization, irrespective of the nature in the sense whether it is a social organization or a business organization. In both the things, you need to administer, you need to control the affairs of the organization, irrespective of the type of business, whether you are doing a small business, whether you are doing the business domestically, or whatever the type of business you do, whatever the type of structure, whether it is a giant company or whether it is a multinational company or an Indian multinational company or a foreign multinational company or a small company, or irrespective of the size also, irrespective of the size in the sense whether it is a small or a medium scale or a large size company, you need to manage. That consisting of two important aspects, that is process of administering and controlling of the affairs of the organization. The discussion of this management is very, very interesting because management is the vital factor. It is a very, very important factor for the success of any the business organization. Management, it is an activity process. What do you mean by process? Process in the sense, it is not a single activity. It is not done at a one stage. Process includes several stages, and management is an essential element for all the social organization, without which you cannot get the success. And management, it is a discipline in the sense there are certain set orders, there are certain steps, there are certain rules, there are certain principles to be applied. So in such a way, management is a discipline, it is an order. Management is a culture. The culture of management, it varies from one company to another company. The culture what is there in the Infosys is different from that of the Tata. Tata has their own culture, Infosys has their own culture, Hindustan Lever Limited has their own culture, okay, Reliance Industries has their own business culture. So thereby, when you say management, management is life giving and it's a dynamic organ of the any institution it manages. Look at the second aspect of the slide. It is an act of creating and maintaining such a business environment wherein the members of the organization can work together. When you say management, management is something managing the business affairs of a giant company. In a company, there won't be any single person. There will be so many people who will be working in a company. Like CEO, there will be board of directors under whom the CEO will work. Under CEO, there will be departmental managers, there will be executives. To assist the managers, there will be junior managers or second level managers will be there, subordinates will be there, supervisors will be there, workers will be there, staff will be there, skilled workers will be there, unskilled workers will be there. So there are different kinds of people will be working in an organization. So being a manager, your work is to see that all the members of the organization, they must work together. They must work together. Together means they must move in the same direction. All their efforts must be directed towards achieving the organizational objectives. Because at the creation of the organization itself, you will be identifying what are the objectives of the business. To achieve those business objectives, you need to manage the things in a business. So thereby, when you say management, management is a series of functions to be performed, and it is also series of the people, various categories, classifications of people you need to manage with them, and you need to motivate with them, you need to extract the work from them in order to get the desired results. So we should move on to the next slide. Management, it acts as a guide to the group of people working in an organization. It's very interesting. Being a manager, what manager does is he does the work of management. What he does, he guides a group of people working in an organization. What is guiding? Guiding in the sense what to do and what not to do, and also coordinating their efforts. What is coordination? Coordination is to see that all the efforts of all the department people must be targeted towards achieving the attainment of the common objectives which is set by the higher level management. In other words, it can also be told like, or it can also be explained like this. It is concerned with, management is basically concerned with 5 important aspects. What are those important? You need to manage 5 M's. 5 M's. Men, machine, material, money and methods. Okay? Men, machine, material, money and methods. So, you need to optimally use these kinds of resources. 5 important aspects. We shall see one by one. What do you mean by men? Men in a business. Men in a business means the staff, the people who are working in the organization, the people works for the organization. So there may be, the men may be in the form of executives, maybe CEO, maybe board of directors, maybe subordinates, maybe juniors, junior managers, maybe supervisors, maybe the staff, maybe the skilled staff or unskilled workers, like that. Then the machine, because you need a tool to convert the raw materials into finished goods. So for which you require the machine in the sense the technology, the outcome of the technology is the invention of the machine which will be used to produce the goods and services. So you require machine. The third one, material. Why material is required? Because to produce anything you require the raw materials. In the absence of raw materials, you cannot produce or you cannot convert anything into a finished goods. So you require the material. Okay. Then money is required. Why money is required? Because whether to do a small business or a big business, you need the funds. You need the funds. Okay, whether to open a tea shop or to open up a just company or to establish a multinational company, you need the funds. In the absence of money factor, no question of doing business. That is why money or the finance is called as the lifeblood of business. We call the money as a, or the finance as a lifeblood of business. If there is no blood in the body, there won't be any life in the person. So likewise, if there is no money in the business, hardly you cannot do the business, because you require money in order to make payment for payment of wages. It may be payment for the suppliers of raw materials, or it may be to buy the machinery, or to buy the technology, or to hire the technology, to pay the interest, okay, to pay the rent, to pay the stationery bills. So for everything you require the backup of money. Then last one is the methods. The methods, 5 important M. The last one is methods. What do you mean by a method? Method is a route. Method is a route, or it is also a map in which way that you must go in order to achieve the desired results, or to get the desired results, or to achieve the organizational goals. So thereby the 5 important M's I explained: men, machine, material, money, and methods. Then this is possible only, the management or optimal use of these men, machine, material, money, and methods is possible only when there is a proper direction. The manager must give the proper direction. He must see that there must be existence of coordination among the various departments, and there must be integration of the process and activities. Integration in the sense, all the efforts of the people must go in a right direction in order to achieve the desired results. So beautiful discussion can be made over the concept of management. Then continuing the discussion, management can be defined as, there are several people who have defined this management in their own ways. Here is one definition which is given by Bowie and others in 2018. We shall see what it is. It can be defined as the process of achieving the organizational goals. If there are no organizational goals, there is no meaning in establishing any organization, whether it is social institution or a government institution or any business institution. Every organization or institution must have its own objectives. Through how to achieve these objectives, organizational objectives, it is through make a proper planning. Now you are applying the principles of management: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. The four basic functions of management: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling of the human, physical, financial, and information resources of the organization in an effective and efficient manner. We shall make a discussion over this definition given. So we discussed the first 2 lines. We shall see what do you mean by planning. Planning is thinking in advance. Thinking in advance. Whatever that you do, you think twice. Thinking in advance is called as making the planning. Then organizing, establishment of the structure to define which person what work he has to do. That is organizing. Or even it includes creation of the organizational structure, the identification of the various positions, and delegation of work. Then leading in the sense, it is also called as directing. That leading function of the management, it can also be called as directing. What do you mean by leading? Leading is, there are people, thousands of people will be working in the big organizations. All thousands of workers, their efforts must be directed in a proper way. So you, being a manager, you must lead them, you must represent them in the market, you must represent them with their coordinated efforts, you must represent the whole organization with the goods and the services produced by your team members, or by your staff, or by the people who are there in the business organization. And lastly, controlling. I told earlier that planning and controlling goes together. Controlling is an important management function. Controlling means to see that all the activities in the organization must go as per the plans made. If there are deviations, immediately the rectification must be made. Then, planning, organizing, leading, and controlling of the human, physical, financial, and information resources. What kind of resources will be there? There will be human resources in the organization. Human resources will be present in the form of the staff. The physical resource will be present in the form of the buildings, or in the form of the furnitures, or the machineries, or the tools. Financial resource will be present in the form of the capital. It may be in the form of the financial securities, the equity, debenture, bonds, institutional loans, or the public deposits, etc. Then information resources. Information resources may be in the form of the, either it may be the outcome of the research what you are doing, or it may be the outcome of the service being produced by any company. So when we say management inclusive of all these things. Being a manager, you are expected to manage well in an effective and an efficient manner. Now, we shall move on to the second stage of discussion to be made in this session. The important definitions of the term management. We shall see what the experts have said relating to the term management. Here are some five or a few definitions given by the experts. We shall see what do you mean by the term management as per them. To start with, the definition given by the Henry Sisk, he says, management is the coordination of all the resources through the process of planning, organizing, directing, controlling in order to attain the stated objective. Just now we have discussed this. When you say management consisting of, it is a process of various functions like planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. I told that there are the four basic functions of management. So it is a process of planning, organizing, directing, and controlling in order to purpose. We are establishing the purpose in order to attain the stated objectives. That means to say, I told earlier that every organization will have the organizational objectives which will be set by the higher level management for every organization. Okay, so to achieve those stated corporate objectives or organizational objectives, you will be doing or you will be performing so many functions. So that is what is being given by Henry Sisk. Now we shall move to the second one, given by the definitions given by the James Laundy. He says management is basically the task of planning, coordinating, motivating, and controlling the efforts of the others towards a specific objective. It is also more or less the same what is being told by the earlier expert. Management is basically the task of planning. Task of planning in the sense everything the manager has to do, because planning is an intellectual process and it is to be performed by the manager only. Because unless otherwise, if you are really not being clever, you cannot do planning. So you require a lot of the dynamism, a lot of vision mind to make a planning process. Because thinking in advance is not an easy task. So for which you require the visionary mind. So it's a task of planning, the task of coordinating in the sense the efforts of all the departmental people or the activities, they must be directed towards achieving the corporate objectives. Then motivating. What is motivating? Motivating is inducing the people, inducing the minds of the people to work properly and to extend their efforts to the organization voluntarily. So that is motivating. Then controlling, I told, controlling is to see that all the things are going as per the plans. The efforts of other towards the specific objective in order to achieve the objectives of the organization. So this is also a nice definition given by the James Laundy. Now we should move on to the other definitions like given by the American Society of the Mechanical Engineers. America is one of the leading nation, highly industrialized nation. We shall see how the experts from their country have defined the term management. The definition goes like this: management is the art and the science of organizing. They say it is a blend of both the things, It is as well as art, as well as the science of organizing, directing the human efforts applied to control the forces and utilize the materials of the nature for the benefit of a man. Ultimately, organizations are established to serve the human beings. What is the purpose of doing business? To get the profit, to get the profits and to create the satisfaction. How these things can be done? When you serve the people, when you serve the men, or when you serve the human beings, then only it is possible. Even this American Society of Mechanical Engineers, the definitions, it goes, the only special thing is that it tells that management is an art and a science. What is art? What is artistic? Art is something, the decision by the manager whether to do something or not, or application of the principles of management in a such a way that it must be unique for our organization, it must yield the fruitful results. So artistic, under what situations, what kind of decisions to be taken up, that is artistic. Then the science of organizing. What is science? Science is a systematic body of knowledge, and science is always will be backed up with the what we say, the experiments, the exact results. So even the management is also like that. When you take the proper decision, you must be end up with the proper results or the good results, and it is possible also. So thereby, management is an art as well as a science. Then we should move on to the next one. One of our two important management experts, F.W. Taylor and Henry Fayol. F.W. Taylor we shall see first. Management is an art of knowing. The manager must know. The manager must know. It is the art of knowing what you want to do. The manager must have the clarity of mind as to what is to be done. What is to be done and how it is to be done, why it is to be done, to whom it is to be done. Okay? So the manager is expected to know. Thereby, F.W. Taylor says, management is an art of knowing what you want to do, what you want to do, and then seeing that it is done. And to see that it will be performed as per what is been decided in the planning process, in the best and the cheapest way. Because success of any organization depends upon to come out with the output at the minimum cost. You must get the maximum output at the minimum cost. So that's why F.W. Taylor says, management is the art of knowing what to do, what you want to do, and then seeing that it will be done in the best and the cheapest way. It must be unique. The management style must be unique by the manager. So that is what F.W. Taylor, a very beautiful definition given by him. We shall see the last important definition given by Henry Fayol, one of the famous management expert. He says, to manage is to forecast. To manage is to forecast. What do you mean by forecast? Forecast in the sense to probe into the future. What happens tomorrow? What happens day after tomorrow? What happens after 5 years? What happens in the business situations after 20 years or a century? So you need to forecast. Being a manager, you must probe into the future. Then to plan. Once you probe, once you come to know what the future is, you must plan for the future. Okay? You must plan accordingly. As per the future developments, you must plan, you must organize, and you must command, you must give the quality command, and you must coordinate, and you must control. Beautiful definition, Henry Fayol. So we have seen some of the important definitions for the term management. So thereby what we can able to say is all these, to summarize the definitions for the term management, what we can able to see is, though different authors, different experts have given their own opinion regarding the term management, they have been commonly been telling that management is a work of the manager. Manager has to perform. Whatever manager does, it is called management. Manager is the decision maker in the company. So he is responsible for the end results of the company. He must decide in advance. He must plan. He must organize, he must direct, he must lead, he must control. So these are the common features we can able to see in the definitions of the term management. So now we shall move on to the next aspect and the last aspect of this session, that is characteristics of the term management. We shall continue our discussion, the characteristics of management. Now, we have understood the concept of management. We have discussed in detail the definitions between the various experts. Now, we shall try to understand this subject by knowing the characteristics of management. Here are some classifications made, or here are some points have been identified for the making the discussion. That is, management is universal phenomena. Management is a universal phenomena. When we say management, management is always goal oriented. And the third one is management is a continuous process. Continuous process in the sense it is an ongoing process. Then management is multi-dimensional. It is not a single phase. It has got so many dimensions are there. So it is a multi-dimensional. Then management is a group activity. Management is a group activity. Then management is a dynamic function, and management is an intangible force. So these are the basic and the important, because apart from these there are so many other characteristics were also been there, but we have identified here for the purpose of discussion important characteristics. We shall discuss one by one. To start with, the first one, the first characteristics of management. Management is a universal in nature. Management is a universal activity. All the organizations, whether it's a profit making or not, they require the management for managing their activity. Hence, it is a universal in nature. So we can take this in we can understand this in two dimensions. One dimension is the management is required for all types of organizations, whether it is a business organization or a social organization or a government or a private. For all kinds of organization, you require the management. And the another important thing is, when we say it is a universal activity, wherever you go, whether it's India or whether it is America or an African country or any country for that matter, in any continent for that matter, the management is being performed everywhere. Management is undertaken everywhere. The existence of managers can be found everywhere. So companies in the Indian context are also having managers. They are performing their management activity. The workers in American companies are also performing the management activity. So thereby it is a universal. It is being performed everywhere. Everywhere we can find the activities of the management. That is what the meaning is. So most of the principles and the techniques of management, they are universal in nature, and their applicability effectively in the all types of organization like government, like business, military, education institutions. So everywhere it is being applied. So thereby we can say that the principles of management or the style of management is universal in nature. We shall go on to the next one. That is, management is goal oriented. What do you mean by this? We shall see. When you say goal oriented, goal is something destiny, because every organization will have its own predetermined corporate objectives. So what to do, what should be done once the objectives are established? The management must make the proper efforts to see that those objectives will be achieved. So thereby management is goal oriented. It has got its own predetermined objectives and destinies are established. Okay, so destinies are established to achieve those goals, to reach those destinies. So managers will be working. All the managers like production, HR manager, finance manager, accounts manager, or R&D manager, all will perform in order to achieve those goals or to reach those destinies or the goals. Thereby we can say that management is goal oriented. Okay, it has got the different goals. Next we shall see. Management is a continuous process. What do you mean by this? Management is a continuous process. Continuous in the sense, the application of the principles of management, planning, organizing, staffing, directing, they are there will be done in a continuous way. There is no end for management. Today you have to manage, yesterday you managed, today you have to manage, tomorrow you have to manage. So daily this activity will be there. It's a continuous activity, it's an ongoing process. Okay, it's an ongoing process. If there are efforts of the management, then only the company or organization will exist. In the absence of management, no organizations will exist. Said thereby the management activities are continuous. There will be continuous production, there will be continuous using of the human resource, there will be continuous financing, there will be continuous marketing efforts will be there. So thereby we can able to say that the management, it is a continuous process or an ongoing process. It will go on. Then second, the next one, multidimensional. Management is multidimensional. What do you mean by multidimensional? It has got the different phases, multidisciplinary and multidimensional. It is not confined to only for administration of people. It also looks into the work, it also looks into the process, it also looks into the operations, it also looks into the methods, it also looks into the affairs of the business. It also makes a continuous interactions with the internal and the external environment, external and internal business environment. So thereby what we can able to say is in management, it is a multidimensional and multidisciplinary approach it is having. Okay, because the situations in the business, they are ever changing. You cannot, the same style of management will not work. Whatever decision that you take in an Indian context may not work in the American context. You may have to change your style because the problem dimension itself will be changing. So thereby you need to work accordingly. Then management is a group activity. Management is a group activity because in every organization there will be so many people will be there, because companies cannot be run by a single, it is not a one man show. It is not a one man show, it is a teamwork, it is a group activity. There will be different kinds of members will be there. Like I told earlier, board of directors or CEO or the functional managers, you will find subordinate managers, you will find workers, supervisors, skilled workers, unskilled workers, the suppliers, the customers. You will find so many categories of people. So thereby when you work with them in order to achieve the organization activity in such a way, it is called as a group activity. And each group will have their own needs, their own expectations and their own belief system. The belief system from the point of view of finance department will be different from that of purchase department, because purchase department wants to purchase quality goods and finance department wants the quality goods at the lesser price. It expects the purchase manager to purchase at a lesser prices. So that's why I told expectations, the needs and the beliefs are different from one department to another department, and every person joins the organization with a different motive. For example, if you ask a single person or a staff in an organization why you have joined the organization, because he wants to fulfill his motives. He is having his own problem. He has to fulfill his basic requirements, food, clothing and shelter, or it may be entertainment, or it may be caring for the family, it may be caring for his own kids, the better future of the to frame the future of the kids, their family members or the kids. So he'll be working or he'll be joining for the organization. So thereby, how to make him to work in a proper way thereby, so that his objectives as well as the organization objectives both will be achieved. So it is a challenging thing for the manager. So thereby, when we say management is a group activity. Each group, each person will have their own objectives, and manager, he has to consider all those things. That is, every group, every person, every individual, he must take into account their needs, their expectations, and he must respond for everyone. So thereby, it requires a good supervision, it requires a teamwork, it requires a coordination in such a way that the management can accomplish the organizational objectives. The next one, management is a dynamic activity. Dynamism. What do you mean by dynamism? Dynamic function. When you say dynamism, The business situations are ever changing, ever changing. Situation what is there now will not be there tomorrow or in the next hour. The lifestyle, the style, expectation of the customers, the market situations, the technology, advancement in the field of science or in the market situations, everything gets changes. So the management is expected to, supposed to adjust or to face with all kinds of new changes that comes on the way. That is why an organization exists in a business environment that has got the factors like there are social factors, which are there are political factors, there are legal, there are technical, there are economical issues, and which are ever changing. Nothing is stagnant in this world. All these things, socially there will be changes, politically, legally, technologically, economically, there will be different kinds of changes. All such changes has to be taken into account by the manager and must take the good decisions in order to achieve the organizational objectives. Then, a slight change in any of these factors will affect the organizational growth and the performance. A slight change, even if there is a small change in the environment, so naturally that will affect on the company's growth as well as the performance. So thereby you cannot, being a manager, you cannot neglect anything. So to overcome these changes, the management must formulate the different kinds of strategies. When we say strategy is something, a term we used in the war field. So war situations, it is not changed each time. So business situations are also not same each time. You have to change your strategies and you have to implement them. It is not something only to decide. You need to implement what you decided. Okay? So thereby management is a dynamic function. Then management is an intangible force. That means to say you cannot see what do you mean by management. You can feel it. One can feel it. Okay? One can feel the professionalism. One can feel the discipline of the management. One can see the difference in the style of management. One can witness in the results of the business organizations through the effective management. But it is intangible, invisible. Intangible as well as invisible. It is not, you cannot touch, but you can feel the existence. Okay, so thereby management is intangible force. So precisely all the functions and activities and the process of organizations are interconnected to one another, and it is a task of the management to bring them together in such a way that they help in reaching the intended results. So we have seen the beautiful discussion over the characteristics of management. I find it very interesting to make a discussion. There are so many other interesting, what do you say, characteristics are also there, like it's a distinct process, it is organized activity, it is accomplishment of the predetermined objectives, it is a science as well as an art, discussion over universal in nature, the principles of management are universal in nature. When we say management is the integration of the human and the other resources, management can be called as a profession. Management has got a separate identity altogether. Management is highly been essential at all levels of management. Management is a very highly dynamic and multidisciplinary approach. Management is it is a system of authority. Likewise, there are so many important characteristics where that we have discussed some of the important characteristics of management. So thereby we shall try to end the discussion. So in this session I have discussed the concepts of management, definitions, characteristics, significance. We shall discuss in the next session. Thank you one and all. This is Dr. Niranjan Babu. We shall meet again in the next session. Thank you one and all.